When the city is just awakening, our day has already begun. News Center 5, on the job, investigating, probing, researching, and then reporting the most accurate, most carefully written television journalism in the Northwest. And at day's end, and through the night, the job goes on. It's the commitment that's made and kept on News Center 5.
Okay, that was a blast from the past, right? That was a commercial from about 1981 promoting the News Center 5 team. All this month, we're celebrating King 5's 70th anniversary.
That's so fun to see. Well, King 5 covered the news every day. At times, it also became the news, and often for unexpected reasons. King 5's Lori Matsukawa takes a look in this special report.
Today, these citizens from the Soviet city and these citizens from the U.S. city will talk by television satellite on a Citizens Summit.
It made headlines and was condemned by the Seattle Times. At King, though, hopes were high for the Citizens Summit in November 1985.
We express our views from the heart.
Ordinary folks in Seattle, with talk show host Phil Donahue, exchanging views by satellite with Soviets in Leningrad, hosted by television commentator Vladimir Posner. The big topic? Peace and human rights.
Outside our studio at this moment are gathered several protesters. What you see here is America's free speech in action. They believe that they should have been entitled to access to this program to complain about human rights violations.
September 3rd, 1986. A man drives a Porsche through the front doors of King TV, smashing into the reception desk, injuring 3 employees. Reporter Mike Oling's leg was broken in 2 places.
I just heard the crash, turned around and saw this blur coming at me, and then it just hit. There's just no way. The wrong place at the wrong time.
Photojournalist Don Metcalf, evening reporter Enrique Cerna, and King radio reporter Bob Parker chased the driver, himself a former King employee, and held him until police cuffed him.
Get him in there.
My name is Ed White. I worked at King from 1983 to 2015. For a while, we were not allowed to break in live with the story. But, very shortly, Como was out in front, Cairo was out in front, our competition was all there, and finally, it seemed, I don't know what the time frame, or 20 or 30 minutes, finally they said, okay, and we jumped in on the story. But it's just sort of a good reminder of, we're used to covering stories, not quite so used to being a part of the story.
Months later, a sculpture by artist Richard Beyer was installed in front of the King building. Affectionately called the King Stones, it was chock full of rebar to thwart any future drive-thrus.
Can you tell me a little bit about what happened in the print shop?
Yes.
Meteorologist Jeff Renner was working on the night shift in 1974 when station manager Eric Bremner was contacted by the Secret Service.
He was flanked by 2 guys in dark suits, sort of the prototypical men in black, and they were very serious. And we heard that the guy in the print shop had been using the tools of the trade to turn out money, and I guess fairly good money.
My name is Steve Clifford. I was CEO of King Broadcasting Company from 1987 to 1992. We had this fantastic newsroom that couldn't cover a guy printing money right next to them.
But at that time, they used to say a broadcast license was a license to print money. That particular instance, it was literally the case.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled programming for the following special report.
And then there was the live broadcast by Almost Live on April Fool's Day, 1989, involving the Space Needle.
My name is Steve Wilson, and I was a writer, producer, talent, and mostly director at King for most of my adult life. It was April Fool's Day. And so we thought, well, let's open the show with an April Fool's bit. And so we did this fake newscast.
Approximately 7 minutes ago at 6:53 p.m., the Space Needle collapsed.
So many people called 911 that it actually shut the 911 lines down.
And then John comes out to do his monologue, and his first words are, bummer about the needle. And then he goes into the jokes. And so we go to break, and I'm in the booth, and the phone is ringing.
There were people from Eastern Washington, medical people who came over to volunteer.
The stunt angered viewers, Space Needle officials, and the city. Host John Keister had to make a public apology.
And we thought that people would take it as a joke. Unfortunately, it didn't work that way.
We were sorry, but it's like, we really didn't think it was gonna really affect anybody.
Right? Well, you can bet Almost Live never did that again.
So we saw the apology, but were there any repercussions? Did anyone lose their job over that?
No one was fired. And amazingly enough, it did, though, raise the level of notice that we give viewers if we ever do a reenactment or simulation. There are huge signs everywhere that this is not for real, folks. So we learned a lot from that.
I've seen that a handful of times, and it's still great to this day. I mean, we can laugh about it now. So we had a great story last night, another great story tonight. I know we're not done. You still have a couple more.
You know, this is going stationwide. You'll see it on all of the programs. So tomorrow on King 5 Mornings, Joyce Taylor will show you hairstyles and fashions through the years. Wait until you see what we all look like back in the day. And for sure, you're going to be asking, what were they thinking, right? It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow on King 5 Mornings. We hope you'll tune in.